Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And hold on a second. Just every time you think the show is going to start perfectly, you realize you have 10 other things to do. Hey, welcome to episode 2 of Street Talk Live, the authentic side of gaming. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. We're going to lay some groundwork today. We're going to talk about a lot of statistics and just give you a heads up on all the things going on. And I'm going to make a really strong point about something I think we really underestimate. As always, this stream is brought to you by the 9292 Foundation, which is the foundation for mental health and gaming, which we started. It's a 501c3. You can find out, as always, all the details about the 9292 Foundation, how to contribute if you have that ability and desire at StreetTalkOeater.com. We will also be updating the site today with... we posted yesterday's episode 1, on YouTube. It'll go out on Spotify as a podcast and all the other platforms for podcasting. We'll get that up and running today. So if you miss an episode or you're driving and want to listen to what we talk about, you can absolutely tune in through a podcast or rewatch it on YouTube. It's going to be a blast. And we have a lot of things planned for what we're going to do with the show. We're also going to have, just as an update, if you are interested in being a guest on the show, please join the Discord. We'll be creating a series of channels and different things so that you can get in line with different dates to be able to participate in this show, because we definitely want to have guests. As it is right now, even today, I just have a lot to talk about, so we're going to get into a lot of details. But a big thank you to everyone. This is also brought to you by Sly, our beverage partner to the foundation. So thank you to them and everything that they are doing. Now, let me tell you something that I've been thinking about, because as I think about future shows. Now, we keep this really authentic. Today, again, is episode 2. As we get this underway of Street Talk Live, it is May 9th, 2023. And I'm going to need to drink a lot of fluid so that my voice doesn't go completely horrible. What I want to talk about today, it's going to be a lot of statistics, and I need to figure out if we're going to, because I've got to start breaking it up in terms of visuals and different things, but I don't want it to just be us looking at a lot of PowerPoints. I really don't like that kind of stuff. So I'm going to try to keep it entertaining for this hour, but there's a lot of things that I want to make sure that we bring to light, because I think we miss an opportunity. Now, you guys know this show is just going to be authentic. We're just going to fly. This isn't going to be a highly produced show, because I think that takes out some of the fun of it. And I want to make sure that there's a certain element of spontaneity in the things that we do and talk about, though there will be a structure. So again, if you want to find out details about what's going on, go to StreetTalkOeater.com. If you want to be part of the show in some way, make sure that you join the Discord. Okay, let's get into what I want to talk about today. In some what does that even mean? In some depth. And here it is. I don't think we appreciate the power that we leverage as a gaming community enough. I think that we easily get tied into our individual gameplay or our local communities, which is absolutely and totally 100% perfectly fine. However, when we talk about people that engage in groups and have influence around the world, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit in terms of gamers, in terms of what influence we could have. Now, it's easy in the gaming community for us to kind of scream at each other about this. You guys have heard me, go on and on and on about how frustrating an experience has been with Call of Duty and Activision and what I feel. Now, I don't scream and yell. You guys know that, right? I don't scream and yell. But that being said, I do feel very strongly about certain things, but I don't feel like I have a collective power to be able to really do something about it. Now, a large portion of everything that we do is about mental health and emotional well-being in gaming. You know that all the principles that we talk about are always at the foundation of everything that we do, and that is a place to belong, people to connect with, skills to develop, and kindness. Now, but there's a collective power that we're going to talk about today that I think we're undervaluing and underestimating. By the way, really quick, my sister came over. She's apparently going to be now my new personal shopper. She brought me some new shirts. I actually this is kind of one of my favorites so far. I don't know what it is, Space Skulls, but big shout out to my sister who is, I messaged her and said, hey, I hate shopping more than anything. And she is like the greatest budget deal finder ever. And so I said, hey, would you go out and find me some shirts? Because I can't be doing content every day wearing the same shirt. And next thing I know, she's like, that was the greatest text you ever sent me. And she's super fired up. She loves it. So last night she brought over like 5 new shirts. So you'll finally start seeing some new shirts. Okay. Now, this proposition that I have that we undervalue our power, there is a collective opportunity to come together in some way. I don't know how that is. I think that one of the things that I want to try to do as I've kind of made myself a self-proclaimed ambassador for gaming and its positive impact in the world is to be a part of that. But it's much, much bigger than that. When we look at, for example, most every study that you ever see is going to start off or at least talk some degree about the stigma around gaming and the fact that most people have this negative perception. So, let me give you an idea. The number one across all platforms that I can find, the number one hobby, let's call them hobbies, right? Or activity that people engage with in a kind of a, outside of work or outside of study type of a thing is reading. Reading is one of the biggest, it's probably the biggest across everything. Now, reading is a very simple hobby because it's very affordable. It's accessible to everyone. Books are endless. But no one, I shouldn't say no one, very few people passionately go out and talk about how much they love to read. And a lot of times, big readers, a lot of people that really, really I love to read, but most of them are fairly introverted, right? It's an activity that can be very private, very personal. And reading often isn't anything that is shared with other people at scale. Now, there are reading clubs and reading communities and all of that, book clubs. I get it 100%. And even though it's the biggest by volume of people that do it as an activity, there's not really a massive collective voice. It's just simply a very enjoyable hobby for a lot of people to engage in. Another one that's way up there is like gardening. Gardening, again, globally can be accessible to anyone in the world very affordably. And yet, even though there are gardening Pinterest and shows and all, it's like there's still not a massive collective voice. People don't get deeply passionate about gardening as a collective as much as we do in things like gaming. Now, there are others that people do get very, very emotional or very outspoken or very passionate about. Things like fishing, things like board games or things, there are other things. I had like 25 of those in my head and they just completely went out of my mind. There are all of those great activities that people do, which are fantastic kinds of things. You know that people that have hobbies of different kinds of sports are very, very big, very vocal, especially in other countries. But the point that I want to make is that gaming as an activity tends to be one of the most passionate and powerful activities, community-based, that exists out there. And here's what I mean by that. And we're going to tie this in at the end of the show as to what I feel like can be done. Because I don't think that we're leveraging that power enough. Let me give you an example. I read last night, and I put out a piece of content this morning, that 44% of all American adults over the age of 50 game. And just as a side note, the fastest growing demographic in the last 2 years of gamers is those that are 55 or older. I think it was 50 or 55 or older, have grown by a huge amount. It makes up a huge volume. So those of us that are OG gamers are coming out in volume. That's one of the biggest demographics. But let's get into some statistics. And I know this will be a little bit boring. I don't think it is. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because if I say that, it's like, well, yeah, it's going to be pretty boring. Let me express how powerful this industry is and kind of give you some numbers. Now, when I say this number, okay, so this is according to some gaming statistics. With a worth of around $300 billion, the gaming industry is on a winning streak, okay? Now, $300 billion, you need to understand, we throw around billions like it's nothing anymore, right? Like if you are, let me just give you an example, of what $1 billion is. if you make more than, let me just remember if I remember the statistic off the top of my head, if you make more than $455,000 a year, okay, you are in the top 2% of income earners in the world, maybe in the country, maybe we put it that, $455,000 a year. So that's not $1 million a year, but that puts you in the top 2%. Now, when we talk about $1 million, someone gave me this example a long time ago, because we throw around $1 billion like it's not even, like if you're a millionaire, that's nothing. You're gonna be a billionaire. $1 million, if you took $1,000 bills and you stacked them, right? So $1 million is $1,000 bills. It'd be about 18 inches. Okay, that's $1 million. If you took $1 billion, so that's 1,000 million, that would be taller than the Washington Monument. That's $1 billion. So when we talk about $1 billion, we throw that around so easily. So the gaming industry is a $300 billion industry. And so if we look up, matter of fact, let me just see, I meant to do this. If we say by dollar volume, what are the biggest industries? Okay. So if we say, just to give you an idea, and this one is probably a little bit weird because these are things like hospitals. So, for example, hospitals in the U.S. have generated 1.4, this has got to be trillion. Pharmaceuticals, 1.3 trillion. Okay, so let's go back and see, where does gaming fit? These are just things. This is the authentic side, right? I told you we're going to fly by the seat of our pants at times. Where does gaming as an industry, if I can hit the right keys, come on, Street. Jeez Louise, gaming keyboards. An industry, oh my heck. Compare, I can't even hit the right keys. Compare to other industries by dollar volume. Okay. Let's see what this says. Now, this is about 5 months old. So today's gaming is a category in the entertainment industry revenues that far exceed those of both film. Okay, so gaming, just to give you an idea, gaming exceeds by dollar volume both the film and music industries combined. Okay, to give you some idea. It's perhaps no secret that the video games have outgrossed movies for a significant period of time now. Around 2012, 2013, the amount of revenue made by the industry and the total started outpacing of Hollywood. So here's Call of Duty Black Ops 2 made $1 billion in only 15 days. As compared to James Cameron's Avatar, the highest grossing movie of all time, released needed 17 days to hit the same figure. Grand Theft Auto 5 started its ascent to the top, costing $266 million to make. It made $800 million in the first 24 hours. Okay? When you start to make these comparisons industry-wise, you begin to realize that this is significant in the impact that we have in the way that we consume. This isn't a small kind of this niche hobby type of a thing. Not only do we spend money as gamers, but we spend money quickly and ravenously, okay? And we'll get into some of that other stuff here as we go on as well. Okay, let's get into some other statistics so we can base this kind of premise that I want to make about the power of gaming that I think we're kind of underestimating as a community. 83% of video game sales happen in the digital world. So the vast majority of things that we buy, obviously it makes sense, right? We're buying them through our gaming experience or another digital platform. In 2021, the consumer spending in the video gaming sector was $60.4 billion, okay? Around 85% of all gaming revenue comes from free-to-play games. Do you think about that? You think about that, we're going to do a whole episode on free-to-play in the future. We're going to talk about that model and how powerful a model I think it is just for business in general, Okay. Now get this. Now these we get into some crazy things that we do. There were around 14.1 billion mobile game downloads in the first quarter of 2021. 14 billion mobile game downloads in the first quarter of 2021. By 2025, the PC gaming sector alone will accumulate $46.7 billion. Now, it makes sense that PCs are leveraging up because of the pure computing power that's required by a lot of games that are coming up. Okay. Now, let's get into a couple of other things. You've heard me say this, about 3 billion people worldwide play video games, okay? As to give you some example, in 2015, 2.03 billion people gamed. Now, that went up to 2.17 the next year, 2.33 the next year, 2.49 the next year. Now, when we got into 2020, when the pandemic hit, you'd think that it'd be this massive jump, and it was a pretty decent jump, but it's continuing to grow at that same pace. By 2021, there were 2.96 billion active gamers. By 2022, 3.09. As of right now, in 2023, 3.22 billion active gamers. Now they're expecting in 2024 that'll go to 3.32. So over the course of 8 years, the gaming community has gained 1 billion people. There are only roughly 8 billion people on the planet. You're talking about 1 billion people were added in 8 years to gaming. If you don't think we have a massive, massive community, then I don't know. You've got your head in the sand or something. All right, let's keep going on. 6 in 10 gamers played online multiplayer games more frequently during the pandemic, which makes sense, okay? The pandemic brought in a lot of people could get into a lot more games of those kinds. Okay. Online gaming audiences will surpass 1.3 billion people by 2025. So 1.3 billion people are playing online games, okay? Let me give you some background on this so that you kind of know the demographics, because sometimes we get really locked into just the US, right? This would mark a surge from around 1 billion currently. China, Japan, and South Korea are leaders in this category with the highest segment of gamers out of the entire population, okay? So from PC and consoles, we came to the intersection where MMOs are taking over. If you don't know what that is, I mean, obviously this audience does massive multiplayer online games. And it's a boom has been happening since 2010s. Okay. Now, get this. This is what I mean. And I'm trying to lay this foundation. I hope you guys see this. I'm trying to lay this massive foundation for what we bring to the table as a community and the power that we leverage. Okay. There are over, I didn't know this, by the way. I did not know this. There are over, are you ready? 50,000 games available on Steam. 50,000. I had no idea. 50,000 games available on Steam. Okay. We already talked about this one. 83% of video game sales happen in the digital world. Okay. These kinds of numbers are just incredibly shocking to me. Over 227 million people in the US play video games 1 to a few hours per week. Do you understand what that number means? That means that approximately, according to this, 74% of US households consist of at least one member who plays video games. According to video game statistics, roughly 76% of Americans under 18 and 67% of Americans, 60% of adults play games. Even 7% of people older than 65 play video games. 7% of people older than 65. Now, I'm 60, so I'm in a different category, but do you realize that? Okay, so let's talk some demographics. Again, we want to talk about the scale and scope of what we actually have our hands on. Okay, 45%. Now, this is in the U.S., okay? We're talking the U.S. now. 45% of gamers are female. 45%. Would you have thought that? Now, the female gamers are like, well, yeah, of course. 55% are male. Around 63% of developers are creating games for PCs. Again, I think that just comes down to pure computing power of the sophistication of games that are coming. So let me just read this to you because it says it's kind of interesting. PC remains one of the most popular platforms for developers to make games for. Sony, however, is leading over Microsoft. There's an interesting thing. So there was a TikTok or some media press release that came out that the guy in control of Xbox is basically saying we've lost the war. They've lost the war to Nintendo and Sony in the console world. They're never going to catch up. And so there's a lot of, that's why some of these statistics are pertinent to that. For reference, 21% of developers create games for PS4 and over 22% do it for Xbox One. Gaming stats further show that 31% are working on games for PS5 in the context of the next generation consoles. Alternatively, more than 29% are working on Xbox Series, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, now, top gaming platforms for game developers, right? And this is kind of what we're talking about. Again, this is all building to the strength of the audience that we have. PC is 63%. Top gaming platforms for game developers is PC. And I think that's, again, pure gaming power. Then it goes PlayStation 5, Android, iOS, Xbox Series, all the way down to Google Stadia, which I actually think Stadia just got shut down, if I remember seeing a piece of content about it. So no more Stadia, I don't think. I don't know. There's a whole thing in here about VPNs. I don't do anything with VPNs, so we'll just kind of move on. Okay. Now, let's get into some other statistics that again strengthen our position of what we're doing. In 2021, gamers in the U.S. spent $60.4 billion on. Hold on, just a second. Let me. I'm gonna fix my lighting a little bit. Okay. In 2021, gamers in the U.S. spent $60.4 billion on games. $60.4 billion we spent, okay? The Asia-Pacific region is predicted to hold the largest gaming market share between 2020 and 2027. We can kind of understand that. We'll get into that in other episodes. Okay. The gaming industry is forecast to grow at a rate of 12% between 2020 and 2025. Now, that may not seem like a big number, but holy cow. So that's going to come into, there's a bunch of VR, a bunch of other things that are coming. Again, we're building a case for what I really want to talk about. Online game revenue is estimated to reach $26.29 billion in 2022. So clearly this is, we're into 2023, so this was an estimate. Okay, $26.29 billion. Around 85% of all revenue in the digital game industry comes from free-to-play games. We talked about that. Now, here's some things that are interesting as well. And these will get into more of our mental health segments and other shows where we talk specifically about those kinds of things and balance and addiction and all of that. About 22% of gamers spend around 61 to 80% of their time playing multiplayer online games. Between 1% and 10% of the population in North America and Europe suffer from internet gaming disorder. Now, again, we're going to get into all of these kinds of things as well as solutions as to how we can deal with it, okay? Mobile gaming. Now, we're going to really get into something here. Again, we're talking about, because when we talk in the U.S., typically we talk about PC gaming consoles, but it really, globally, it's a fairly expensive, venture. Let me give you an example. In Ghana, right? So I talk about Kwesi Hayford quite a bit. He's a great guy. He's the president of Esports Ghana, doing some amazing things there for economic development as well as STEM learning and all these things through esports. But the average median or the median income in Ghana, monthly income in Ghana, I think is somewhere around $460. The median monthly income is around $460. So people, the opportunity to buy a game console is an entire month's income, right? So gaming is not completely accessible very easily. However, in most places in the world, people are beginning to more commonly have mobile or having smartphones, right? So there were around 14.1 billion mobile game downloads across both app stores in the first quarter of 2021. We talked about that, okay? Now, here's what gets to be really powerful because, again, this is a way to connect. I have, if we take as an example, so Anthony, our Discord creator and manager and all of that, when we play Fortnite or other games, he does it all mobily. So we have the ability to connect, he can connect into playing Fortnite mobily. By 2025, the mobile games industry will most probably reach $138 billion. So you're talking coming up on nearly half of the revenues generated by gaming, the monies that we spend as a community. Almost half of that's going to be mobile. The figure above includes mobile gaming industry statistics for Apple Store and Google Play. The adoption of mobile gaming has accelerated at a significant level since the first smartphones. At one point, we had Angry Birds, and now we have more advanced play style games like Pokemon Go, Fortnite, Takeover. Right, so we know that's all coming. In the U.S., again, we're building a case for the strength of our community. In the U.S., people usually have around 8 games installed per device. On a global level, people play 2 to 5 games monthly. The hours these users spend on games grow at a rate of 10% per year. Okay, it just makes me laugh because we are such an amazing industry. We're such an amazing community. We spend so much money, have so much power, and I think we just kind of set that aside and don't think about it. In 2020, players spent 4.2 hours per day on Android mobile games. The most popular Android mobile game in the U.S. is Subway Surfers. And so oftentimes, too, we think about gaming as simply being the kinds of games, Call of Duty, Fortnite, League of Legends, those things. But there's a lot of people that play a lot of other games, and they are still part of this community. If I give you an idea, the most popular Android games in the U.S. by daily active users, for those of you that are Android users, Subway Surfers, Clash of Clans, Candy Crush, 8-Ball Pool, Roblox, Temple Run 2, Hill Climb Racing, Minion Rush, and Game of War. Those are the most popular, with Subway Surfers having almost 2 million daily active users. Okay. About 74% of American mobile gamers prefer to watch in-game ads if they get perks. These are just behavior things. Anyway, that's stuff if you're a business. PC gaming versus console gaming statistics. Sony sold approximately 0.2 million PlayStation 4 and 3.9 million PlayStation 5 consoles in the Q3 of 2021. But by 2025, the PC gaming industry alone will accumulate 46.7 billion. I know there's a lot of statistics, but I'm really building to a point. The best-selling PC game of all time. The best-selling PC game of all time. Those of you that have been playing for quite a while and play on PCs, this will not be a surprise to you, but it may be. The best-selling PC game of all time is PUBG, with over 70 million copies sold worldwide. Insanity. 41% of PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 owners are female. People between 18 and 34 comprise 38% of gamers in the U.S. So let me just give you an idea. U.S. gamers under the age of 18, 20%. 18 to 34, 38%. And I'll tell you something interesting about that. 35 to 44 is 14%. 45 to 54 is 12%. My category, 55 to 64 is 9%. And 65 and older is 7%. It's interesting that when I look at my statistics of followers around the world on my content, 86% are 18 to 34 years old. And that's obviously the biggest category of gamers. Okay. About 74% of parents in the U.S. played video games with their children on a weekly basis. We did. I did with all of our kids growing up. All of them, we all played. And 3 of us still play. Or 3 of the kids, we still play regularly. That is an incredibly powerful activity and representation of what it can do as well. Around 40% of U.S. gamers make in-app purchases. We know those kinds of things. If you're in the UK, the game market reached over $7.6 billion in 2022. The most popular strategy game in Malaysia was Mobile Legends. There's some others here, things I'm not familiar with. 91% of Australian households have a video game device of any kind. So if you are our friends in the land down under, 91% of households in your country have a video game device. Again, we're building to a point here. In 2019, Filipino players won 5 medals in esports category at Southeast Asia Games. Canada's video game industry is set to reach $1.5 billion in revenue. The bottom line, okay, this is the bottom line of just this one article. Gaming is one of the fastest growing as well as the largest segments of the entertainment industry. With the growing online presence and increased digital literacy, many people will soon become gamers of some sort. However, the chances are that gamers are already everywhere around us, or you know someone who doesn't have any games on their... However, the chances are the games are already everywhere around us. Or you know someone who doesn't have any games on their phone, right? They're in their pocket because as gaming statistics show, it's very unlikely. Okay, I think what they're saying right there is that people, even though they may not openly say that they game, they game. Okay, so where is this going? Because this is really important. With all the things that are happening in the world, right? We don't get into geopolitics and we don't get into all those kinds I don't talk about any of that kind of stuff. But what I do talk about is that gaming has a power for good. And we're representative of a massive body of people, but no one really comes together. Now, I don't have the answer as to how we bring people together, other than to say that if we can get behind some common understanding that gaming can be an incredible power for good in the world, then we can start gathering this collective force to start spreading that word. And you guys know all of the things about exponential growth and all the things, if I tell you and then you tell, two people and they tell two people, next thing you know, we have the whole world in 72 hours behind us, whatever the math is, it's crazy. The point I'm making is that I don't think that we come together enough to stand up as a voice with all of the buying power that we have, with all of the influence that we have, with all of the eyeballs on attention to the things that we do. I think we're still very fragmented. There are so many things that we can influence. Imagine the general, and I think this will be a normal case within, let's call it maybe the next 15, 20 years, where gaming will be a fully not only respected and admired, but sought after activity for multiples of things, from learning, right? Like right now, my business partner and I in Next Gen Link are talking with, we have some contacts in Algeria. We have contacts all over the western or the southern states here, and companies, very, very large companies that we're talking to that are using technology in augmented reality, virtual reality to be able to attract, retain, and develop talent. In-house training programs. There are so many platforms, so many things. I'm doing a presentation on Thursday talking about these subjects exactly. So there are so many things that gamers are having a major influence on that people don't even pay attention to. They just think, oh, well, you game, that's an incredible waste of time. And there aren't other industries that drive the kind of innovation that gaming does that we're a part of. Golfing doesn't drive the kind of innovation that we do. Fishing doesn't drive the kind of innovation. Gaming and our desire to have access to that, what we consider purely entertainment, is driving technological advancement faster than most anything else out there, because it requires from everything from hardware, chip manufacturing, all the kinds of things that go on, to the software development, to everything now. Of course, we have AI, is largely driven by what happens in the game world. A lot of the CG and a lot of the other things that happen in the movie industry advance because of gaming. So we have influence that we don't even pay attention to. And why is the influence there? Because we spend money. We spend money. And when you spend money and the attention is there, then people are going to develop things to be able to capture some of that. We spend way more money than people spend, even though more people in the world read as an activity than anything else, they don't spend near the money that we spend. So the point of that is to start to think about gaming in the sense of, what can we do with that kind of leverage and power? I don't know how we come together. Do we create some organization that says, hey, this is the voice of gamers? I don't know what that would be. But it needs to be something, because when we talk about emotional wellness, mental health, we talk about learning, we talk about social development, we talk about skill development, we talk about the ability for people to belong, we talk about the ability for people to connect. We control all of that. I literally can't think of anything else that, and I sit and I go through this a lot, any other kind of thing, whether it is church or religions or people or food and eating and all of those kinds of things. I can't think of anything that collectively has at scale the universal appeal, the universal acceptance that gaming has. And yet it still has this incredible stigma of it being a waste of time and it's dangerous and all of that. Yet all of that has been completely debunked. So what I'm trying to figure out, what I want to come to some kind of conclusion on and get kind of into some details, is to how we can collectively grab all of that power that we have of community and do something very, very powerful with it. Now, Let me, I want to get into something just to give you more background on this community. So you guys know, as I put out content, let me go over here real quick. And I love to read comments. By the way, I read every single comment that you guys put out on whatever that you put on my content. And when I put out a video, so let's go through and read a couple of these things. We were doing a little bit of this yesterday because, again, I think it solidifies what it is that we do as gamers. So I put out this video. I said everyone should stop gaming, right? And outside of the fact of people telling me that I'm not 60, let's read some of the comments. And because I really believe that people should game more, right? So I talk about all the things that you can learn, all the skills and all that. So let me just read some of these comments from people, again, reemphasizing and strengthening the community that we have. So Brian says, not only those things, but you can actually learn history, mythology, actual real world skills, economics, and much more through gaming. G Faust says, 48 gaming since forever. I use it as my way to unwind and stress release, time with my family, and then gaming for myself. Again, an activity that can bind families. The mechanic says, I do gaming to be alone. Emil says, I'm a sim gamer and have been since I was 5. I'm 28, never going to stop. You understand the power behind this? Mental Warrior Struggle says, the only way I'll stop gaming is if God says to, or I physically cannot. James says, exactly, I'm a very toxic person, and now I have friends in League of Legends, people learning skills, right, to get past that. Jason says, trying to find, there's so many comments here. Some of them are just kind of really short. Michael says, it's things like this why I stream, to help people see these depths of what gaming can be, more than just typical COD, Minecraft, and Fortnite. Bonmon says, I have this group of people that I game with, and it actually gave me a place to escape into. It's very therapeutic. Chaos says, 48, started years ago with Pong and still enjoy gaming today. Totally agree with you. Professor Nikki says, I'm 35, a university professor, and love gaming. You should do a video on the studies showing how surgeons game to perform better. Matter of fact, I'm going to respond. That is absolutely crazy. What we should do, I'm going to respond to her live right now. 100. I'm going to say, would love to have you talk about that. See, we're just being authentic here, right? I'm telling you, we're live. Would love to have you talk about that sometime on my show. I told you I read every comment. StreetTalk live. Let's see. DM me if you would be interested. Okay. So that's Professor Nikki. Kyle says, my guy, you look amazing for your age. Okay, whatever. Chunky Pal says, 35, never going to quit. This says, Peach family friendly Fortnite. You should make a group here on TikTok, and if you do, I'm in. I'm not sure what kind of group. Let me just see. Again, I'm going to message this here really quick. What kind of group? So we're reading messages, and I'm actually responding to some right here, just to let you know. Brother, I'm a gamer from my childhood, and that helped me to improve myself, my way of thinking, and motivation. Gaming makes me happy and release my stress. McKay says, being single, gaming is how I keep my sanity. It makes me feel like I belong to something. Don't want to turn it to less healthy things to connect it to. Yep. Odin says, 100% agree. Playing games helps me with my severe anxiety. Can you help me relax? Can help me relax, or it can help you relax after a long, hard day. I'm glad I can make my friends doing that. Some of these, I think, maybe in other languages. Couple more here. Mark says, 44, I've been gaming since my first Commodore 64. Won't stop until I drop. Joey says, no, don't stop gaming until you feel like it, when others feel like, not when others feel like you should. McCurdy, I was never going to stop gaming if someone told me to stop gaming. So you get a sense for, you guys know, you understand how powerful this is and what it is we're actually doing. So one of the things that we're going to do in moving forward, I think a great start to this is to be able to have guests that can come on and we can, let me get back out of the screen here really quick. One of the things that's going to be very powerful, and I think making this happen, is when we actually start, we'll start to have guests. So if you are, I'm going to go back to this. If you are interested in being a guest, please join the Discord. Stay tuned for the channel, and the information will be about how to do that. Because as I sit here and I was thinking about this show, and we read all these statistics and we get into these details, it just is overwhelming to me, the kind of influence we have that we're not tapping into. So what I would love to hear is how you guys believe we can actually tap into that more effectively. So if you want to, Pac-Man. Okay. I just looked down. I'm not normally looking at chat during the show. So a couple of things I think that we can do moving forward to make this happen. And here they are. Number one, I think it's very, very important that we openly talk about gaming with other people in a very positive way, because obviously we want to be able to have a practical side to make this happen. So if we're going to move these steps to really starting to leverage the influence that we have, again, you guys know I talk all the time with everyone that I go to. I ask them every single time. I don't care where we are. If I'm at a checkout and it's going to be 42 seconds, I'm asking them if they're a gamer while they're getting my change or whether they're doing whatever. I think the more that we do that, the more we empower other people to do the same, to take pride in the fact that we game, to be aware of the benefits that are there. The more that we do that, the more that we get connected amongst ourselves outside of just virtually, right? We can share content. We can share things personally, live, IRL. We can share things in our content more than just gaming clips, right? If you guys know my content, you know I don't do any gaming clips at all. Everything I do is all about the benefits of gaming and what we can do for good in the world through this platform. I'm not saying that doing gaming clips is bad at all. I mean, they're very entertaining. Some people are super, super good at doing it. What I am saying is that we can start producing content that also talks about the benefits of gaming. So step number one, we've got to start looking at it, and I share these statistics with you, and we do these shows, and I promise they're going to get better and better and better. We do these shows to help you have a sense of pride and awareness of an activity that you love to do and its impact currently that it's having in the world in a very positive way, and start taking pride in that. Start being, for example, how many times, maybe this is something that we do. Now I'm thinking of, maybe we create a bumper sticker that says, my kid can outgame your kid. When you drive around and people have all these stickers, especially as parents, you see these all the time. I never put these on my car, by the way. Things like, proud parent of a Baylor student, or, my child is an honor student. All these we put all these stickers about all these things we're proud of. I don't see anyone put a sticker on the car that says, top 100 Fortnite player. Or, right, we don't, because there's so much stigma. And I think we need to change that. So maybe someone wants to come into the chat. We'll come up with some fun things about saying, can we create stickers or something that says, I am proud of. Not that that's always good, but you understand my point? I think we hide in the background, and sometimes, not everyone, don't get me wrong. I know people like me that are out there that talk about it all the time. But the first step has got to be, we've got to be able to say, outside of what other people think, that gaming is amazing. Amazing. Its opportunities are unbelievable. And so that's step one. Step two is to start talking about it. Ask people in conversations, run into them. Hey, listen, do you game? What game do you play? Start conversations. The next thing we can get into is start producing some content. Now, that not just game clips, but talk about what you do in gaming and why it's great, and how you use it in school, and how you use it in your company, what you potentially see that you could do with it as a business of your own. Whatever it is, start building those kinds of things. Because again, I think what's happening right now, and this is the thing that I don't totally have my head around in terms of how to move forward with this, is that we spend billions upon billions upon billions of dollars consuming something, right? But it's not even consuming. We're very engaging. Do you understand that when you watch a movie or you listen to music, that is a consumption process, right? We watch it, we listen to it, we enjoy it. Incredible, valuable thing to have in our lives. But gaming is interactive. It's engage-ertainment. It is something that we participate in, and it's very different. And yet, I think we just treat it like it's just something that we consume. Now, those people that simply want to just play and just relax, 1,000,000,000%, that's not even a thing. Absolutely, completely appropriate. Do it correctly. But don't you guys wonder sometimes, can we have more influence in the world for good than we have now? Let me give you another practical example. In my company that I'm partnered with, or my business partner and I have, called Next Gen Link, one of the things that I bring. So my business partner, and we're going to have him on the show. His name is Dave Warnick. We're going to have him on the show in the near future. He is a retired, now consulting global HR executive. And what we do at Next Gen Link is we help companies to attract, retain, and develop talent, because there are billions of dollars being spent every year now on employee turnover. And the demographic of people have changed. Next gen workers want very different things than boomers like me wanted. So that being said, he brings the global HR experience in. I bring the gaming culture experience in. I bring a new approach to looking at how you attract people, at how you retain them, and how you develop them. And all that comes into my experience in decades of gaming and the work we're doing here. So I feel like more of us can come together in doing those kinds of things, because it also creates, let's be very pragmatic, it also creates a lot of other opportunity for us to be able to have income or money-making opportunities through the kinds of efforts that we can create. I'm not saying any of that's easy, but there are going to be more and more digital opportunities based on gaming experience that we have to make money than there have, coming in the future, now and coming in the future, there ever have been. Because from everything you can think about that you do in gaming, there's beginning to be more acceptance and more application in the general business world. This person that commented that I responded to that you saw, that is a professor talking about how surgeons game to keep their skills sharp. Do you understand what kind of world that opens up? Because typically we also think, and this is another thing we need to change our mindset on. We bring, if I give you an example, we bring mad skills. So on my website, on our website for Next Gen Link, let me just go over there really quick and just share with you what I have even on the site. If you guys want to see a little bit about what we're doing there, it's Next Gen Link, NEXGENLIINK.com, NEXGENLIINK.com. It's 2 I's. I put in here, so we talk about an eye on the future of talent, okay? And this is talking about you guys, talking about skilled gamers are poised to revolutionize the future of business. With their unrivaled passion, dedication, and experience, they have the potential to bring fresh perspective and innovative ideas to your company. Don't underestimate the power of this next generation. They are poised to take your business to new heights. I feel passionately about that. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that about you, okay? Again, let me read it. An eye on the future of talent, okay? This is our business, Next Gen Link. Skilled gamers are poised to revolutionize the future of business. I believe it 100%. With their unrivaled passion, dedication, and experience, because we are passionate, dedicated, and experienced in the games we play. They have the potential to bring fresh perspective and innovative ideas to your company. Now, you understand that I'm telling this to companies, okay? Don't underestimate the power of this next generation. They are poised to take your business to new heights. Now, we get into some of the other things, and I won't read all of this stuff. You guys can go check out the website. But these are things I share with them as well, very basic things. Now, I want you to know that these are the kinds of reasons we need to take pride in the stuff we're doing. So, next gen skills, I put in there a picture of a controller. Teamwork and collaboration. Many games require players to work together as a team, which fosters strong teamwork and communication skills. Did you guys know that? Do you understand that you do that? Problem solving. Gamers are constantly faced with challenges and obstacles that require them to think critically and creatively in order to find solutions. Time management. Gaming requires players to prioritize tasks, manage their time effectively, and stay organized in order to succeed. Adaptability and flexibility. Gamers are used to dealing with changing circumstances and are able to adapt quickly to new environments and situations. That's you guys. That is you guys. Again, I'm going to go back because I want you to think about this statement. When we talk about coming together collectively, that's the whole point of this. I want you to understand how much influence you have in the world, what you bring to the table, and how whatever people think about the negative stigma, and that's changing every day from people like us and all the things we're doing together. This is what I honestly believe the world needs to understand. And you can take pride in it. I'm going to read it again. Skilled gamers are poised to revolutionize the future of business. With their unrivaled passion, dedication, and experience, they have the potential to bring fresh perspective and innovative ideas to your company. Don't underestimate the power of this next generation. They are poised to take your business to new heights. I'm telling you, this is exactly where you guys sit. And this is why my partner and I came together to be able to create this company, to go to other industries, other corporations, big companies that are struggling to recognize this. So us as a community have the opportunity to absolutely 1,000,000%, again, 1,000,000% isn't really a thing, I know, but have the opportunity to be able to have an influence. And that influence does nothing but benefit you. Think about that. And how does it benefit you? When you talk proudly about the fact that you game, first of all, that energy is contagious. But most importantly, it gives you a new way to look at what you do and open possibilities in your mind to, wow, this can be therapeutic. You know that if you know that it helps you with things like mental health and emotional wellness, then why wouldn't you share that with the many other people that are struggling the same exact way, which is the majority of people in the world right now? The only reason is because I did a piece of content talk about this. You're just afraid. You're afraid of the stigma or things that people will say. And I get it. It's not always easy to come out and say, I struggle with depression, I struggle with PTSD, I struggle with ADHD, whatever those things are. I 100% appreciate that because that can be viewed as this kind of negative thing. And yet, I'll tell you, just as a complete random side note about this, how prevalent it is. A couple of people that I have deep respect for, love them deeply, have known them for years. Recently, with the loss of our son and talking about all these things with mental health that I'm doing with the foundation now, came out and shared the fact that they have anxiety issues, that they're on medication to help them with all of that. So most people around us are struggling in one form or another with these kinds of things. So that being the case, we need to step up. It kind of becomes not only our opportunity, but our responsibility to share with people, hey man, I game. I do this because, and then explain what that is. Now, when you do that, the other thing is people talk about all the ways, I'd love to have an opportunity to make money in gaming, or I'd love to turn this into something, or I'd love to be more impactful with something I spend so much time doing. Your mind will begin to change and think through those opportunities the more that you talk about them, right? The whole let's manifest what you want kind of a thing. But there's a practical side to it because when people begin to understand that you have an interest in doing this and that you are passionate and that they do the same thing and you connect, opportunities come about. I'll give you another example. On tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm going to have a conversation with a guy about Fortnite Creative. And their studio, it's 404 Creative, I believe that it is. They do Fortnite Creative products, and we're going to talk at length about that. We have a call tomorrow, and I may have him on the show in a future date to talk about the kinds of things outside of just the things that are being developed that you are a part of and that you have influence over. Here's another example of how this what we have our hands on, we don't pay attention to, has power. Fortnite, Epic comes out and creates Creative 2.0. It's all the buzz right now. I'm very excited about it. We're beginning to work on some things, but just so that you know, those of you in the gaming world, Ninja, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tap Man, Cypher PK, and Courage JD are all coming together to use Creative to create a new, what I understand is a battle royale coming out next in 2024. Now, here's what's amazing about that. They're going to take an enormous audience of people, right? Millions of people that follow them, and have them They're going to build a game that they want without having to be developers, without having to be professional developing organizations. They're going to take their audience. Now, what do you think is going to happen? What kind of influence and impact financially is that going to do for them? What kinds of things are that, because for example, if after the stream, I'm going to hop on and play Fortnite right now, right? Because I want to get just a much better feel for the game again. But that's you having to watch and participate in the game of Fortnite. But imagine if when we have our own creative game, it doesn't look anything like Fortnite. It looks like something like we want it to be, and our audience and followers all come into that because it's the experience that we've created for ourselves, and we can change it and modify it based on what we need. That is the future of where things are going. So obviously, Ninja and Courage JD and Nick Merckx and Tim the Tapman and Cypher, PK, get it. They understand that. And it's going to be a significant change in the way that games are going to go. So in conclusion, these last couple of minutes, I want you to understand how deeply and passionately I feel about what good in the world gaming can do and what it is doing. I wish I had all the answers as to how to help you come on board with what we're doing or find things on your own or other organizations that can continue to promote that in an amazing, amazing way, because we wield power that we don't even comprehend that we wield. It's a global power. It's a global influence, and it does all four of the things that we talk about in the principles of the foundation. It gives us a place to belong. So when people feel like they're powerless, they're speechless, they don't have a voice, they don't have any ability to influence, so not true, because you belong to one of the biggest, most powerful communities in the entire world. Number two, the ability to connect. We do things in the business world like LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a way to connect with other business professionals if you're looking for opportunities, or if you want to share opportunities, or you just want to network because who you know is what matters. But that's a fraction of people compared to the connection and ability we have to find like-minded people in the world of gaming. Again, it's the power that we have. The ability to learn skills. There isn't anything that offers the diversity of opportunity to learn skills that gaming hasn't influenced. Like this lady, this professor that messaged me and said, that surgeons game to improve their skills, their surgical skills, keep their hand-eye coordination, their minds, acute and accurate in those kinds of things. And then the end of it, and this is the one that is the thing that I think I am most passionate about in all four of those principles, and the hardest one to get across to people right now, but we can change it, and that's the kindness aspect. The world is an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly unkind place in general, and many of you that struggle with dealing with that understand exactly what I mean. The ability that we have in this collective power, the fact that we're connected, the fact that we belong, the fact that we can develop skills, should give us a level of appreciation and desire to be kind in that, to keep it going. I think what we see, and one of the things that I get most commonly, I rarely get negative commentary anymore in any of my stuff, because I think people understand what it is that I'm trying to do here and that we're doing together. But if they do say something that is typically, well, you haven't been in this game or this lobby or this experience, and I would say, well, I have actually. But it doesn't mean that we can't step up and be kind. So in all of these efforts, what I want you to come away with in this episode is the understanding that you, as much as you feel maybe alone or powerless, are in fact part of something that is the most, as far as I can figure in my mind, the most collectively powerful community that exists on the planet. And despite all the old ridiculous negative sentiments or critics or stigmas that come along with it, it doesn't matter, because we know. What I want you to do is feel empowered by that as we move forward, because this is an opportunity to change the world for the better. If you've ever thought to yourself, I don't like the way things are going, now you have a power to do that. If you want to know more, go to StreetTalkLeader.com. We have a lot of changes coming. This is going to be an evolving show. We're going to start having guests. If you're interested, again, join the Discord. There'll be information there on how to become a guest. Please DM me. Please share. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are looking to see reruns of the shows, the podcast will be available coming soon. I'll get the first one out tonight. And then the first episode is up on YouTube now, so you can watch the other shows. You can go back while you're driving or relaxing, and they're going to get better and better and better. I just had to get these going. I shouldn't apologize. I am super passionate about this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. But in the end, I want you guys to know you are absolutely in the right place at the right time, because we are doing the right thing, and you are 1,000,000% of a part of it. You are loved. You're appreciated, you're admired and respected, and if by no one else, by me, but I know by millions of others. So join the cause. Let's get going. Let's wield this power for good in the world, and let's absolutely save lives through gaming as we do the kinds of things that we simply love to do. So I will see you tomorrow for episode 3.